Would she ask him for Greg?
She's
And these have got, water, or this one doesn't, this one's got water.
The only ones that have water are the 400 ones,
in the hospital or somewhere where she's.
401, 402, 403.
No, I see that, but we got water out there?
Yeah, there's a water line.
When it comes down through the valley.
Does it actually got water in it?
Up to a point.
That's a fair question, Greg.
Yeah.
Up to a point.
Think you'll find out what happened.
Yeah, that's, yeah, just my, I had everything going.
Yeah, I mean, like this one here.
Probably wouldn't lose a guy. I agree that they have bigger troops that have bigger.
The better part of town.
But I think.
But it's only for one place.
I
I mean, it's gotta be a $20,000 lot.
What I said about the old ones,
No, the ones last week were different story. But this one's got water. Yeah, but it doesn't make which ones. That's
assassination. Okay, are we ready to go again? I gotta unmute here. Are you gonna unmute here?
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
All right, it is.
Go for it.
At 6 p.m. on March 8, 2022, I'm going to bring a study session for the Board of Directors of the Car City Metropolitan District to order. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, first on the agenda, they have Mr. Graver here for RJH on the dam survey, record survey.
Sounds good. Well, I'm here to talk about Lake Beckwith. It's not certainly a new subject. I've been here several times prior. I handed out a little sheet before the meeting there to kind of give you a timeline and pertinent facts has developed with the dam over the last almost 11 years. Back in 2011, the dam developed a massive slide in downstream flow that resulted in a crack in the dam crest, pretty good-sized crack, and then also an additional depression in dam crest. 2011, 2015, RJ did a number of investigations, analyses, and studies. 2015, based on all that, determined the dam was no longer safe. The state engineer reviewed all of our work and agreed with our assessment. In 2015, the state engineer required the Metro District to move forward with improving the safety of the dam. They required that in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and in 2021, when nothing had happened over the past 5 years, they imposed a dam safety compliance plan and a restriction on the reservoir. I wanted to impose that in July. I talked to the dam safety engineer and I said, if you could hold off until October 1, let the Metro District get through the summer with a high demand and then impose the restriction October 1, it would be very helpful. He agreed to do so. So since October 1, you've had a 22 million gallon storage restriction on the reservoir. During the summertime, you guys use about 1 million gallons a day, so that's roughly 22 days of storage during the summer so that you've lost right now. This summer, you'll be okay, probably. Next summer, beginning October 1 of this year, the storage restriction increases to 3.5 feet. That's 78 million gallons of water, which is a lot. That's roughly 30% of the usable volume of the reservoir. Pretty significant loss of water storage. So, and now when spring off comes this year, you won't be able to store that 22 million gallons. Next year, you won't be able to store 78 million gallons. So, it's a significant impact to the Metro District water operations. We know what it's going to take to fix the dam. It's extensive. It's got stability issues, it's got seepage issues, it's got consolidation issues, and then there's artesian pressures in the foundation resulting that the dam kind of wants to lift up and slide. So all of the things gotta be addressed. And the cost to address all those safety issues versus just doing that or say, raising the dam embankment and getting significant additional storage isn't significant. The cost to raise the dam, when you're looking at all doing those other things, is not a big number. We did a preliminary study several years ago, and if the embankment were raised 10 feet, the additional storage grade would be roughly 600 acre feet, of which you have conditional water rights that you need to perfect to be able to keep those water rights. Ultimately, the district has 3,000 acre feet of storage rights. A 10-foot raise, if we did that and eventually built Colorado City Reservoir number 2 and dam number 2, you could create one large reservoir that would create about a 3,000 acre foot single reservoir, which is just about the combination of your decreed water rights that you have now and the conditional rights. The issue is basically money and time to do that.
What do you think your estimated cost would be for a project like this? Because at this point,
Total construction cost?
yeah. I
Well,
know it's gonna be,
It
that's gonna be in the survey.
It will be less. Walsenburg had a similar situation. We had to take the dam completely out, put a new dam in, but the dam was 3/4 of a mile long. That project was about $7.5 million start to finish. You're probably in the $3.5 to $4 million range with this project.
Okay, because one of the things that I have is, I was on a webinar last Thursday, I think it was, and Bureau of Land Management has money for surveys. They also have, grant loan opportunities with this infrastructure bill.
Right.
And I contacted them and we're looking to, the only bad thing is the president put all this in on all these different departments. None of them had applications as to how to give the money away.
How to do it, yeah. And FEMA's got probably the most money right now.
Yeah.
There's a grant available through emergency management in the sheriff's office for fixing emergency conditions, which the dam would qualify. FEMA also has a grant available for high hazard dams that have safety issues and storage restrictions. That's part of the infrastructure money. The state has grants through the Basin Roundtable. That's part of the governor's initiative to create additional storage within the state. There's a lot of grants out there, but getting them is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So 2 questions, the 3.5 to 4 million, is that the estimate that you have for raising it 10 feet?
Well, that's a ballpark.
I understand it's a ballpark.
Yes.
Okay, hopefully it's a high ballpark.
No, not based on the way costs.
When you give me numbers, please give me a high ballpark.
Well,
okay.
What do you think gasoline's gonna go to? How much is it
I
gonna
have no
last?
idea.
There you go. That's a major expense in a lot of, I'll give you an example. We priced some slide gates for reservoir water level control 6 months ago. They were $50,000. I got the quote today, they're $100,000. So, if you really want a high estimate, I say $5 million.
Okay.
And that may be realistic. Costs are just skyrocketing right now.
Well, I get that, I understand that completely.
Yeah, so, I mean, ultimately
just
$5
built a
million,
place, so I know.
that raises Beckwith Dam, that doesn't include building Colorado City, Reservoir number 2 and that other dam on Scroggs Arroyo.
Yes.
That's probably another $5 million plus for that project.
Okay, and then you said all this money's out there.
It is.
So, you're in this business, so I would hope anyway, that you guys would have contacts or have ways of getting this money.
Well,
Since you guys are the ones that are gonna benefit from the money.
well, I understand. Currently, we don't do grant writing. We're looking at getting into it. We haven't had a need in the past. Grant writing technically is really not our expertise. Designing, building, constructing dams, rehabilitating dams, that's our expertise. We left the grant writing to others. Because grant writing is more of an art than it is a science, I would say. And so, we can provide the information the grant writer would need to get that grant, but we don't do the legwork right now. We're looking at getting into that, but we
So,
don't.
you guys have been in this for many, 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 many years.
Well, let's see.
And you don't have a relationship with a grant writer that we could use, that we could work in conjunction with?
Yeah, unfortunately, those folks kind of come and go. I've worked with several in the past, and the results has been, I would say, average at best. You know, I don't know. So I don't. I can look into it. I don't know any currently that do grant writing specifically for dams.
Because the way I see this
Yeah.
is that everybody on this board, and I could be wrong, I'm not
Right.
wanting to speak for them.
Sure.
But I think everybody on this board wants this done.
Yeah, I
And if we had the money, we'd write you a check and tell you to do
Absolutely.
it. Okay? But the problem is we gotta find the grant writer
Right.
to get us this money.
Right, and the proposal I've got before you today is a first step. It's a feasibility study to obtain a $50,000 grant from the Water Conservation Board to further develop what needs to be done to the dam. Get additional details, additional analyses, concept figures and drawings done, and get a more reasonable cost estimate than just $3.5 to $4 million or $5 million. Get it a little closer. The CWCB will give you a $50,000 grant. The Metro District would have to match that with $50,000, and we would do $100,000 worth of work towards improving the safety of the dam. I talked to Mark Perry this afternoon, the dam safety engineer, and I said, if the board goes ahead with this, and we get this completed by October 1, is there an opportunity to renegotiate that additional 2.5 foot storage restriction? And he said, yes, maybe. He said, but I want to see progress. He said, if no progress happens, the storage restriction goes into place,
So I agree with you 100%
Yeah.
on the progress.
Yeah.
But once again,
yeah.
we'll give you $100,000 to get this started, but if we don't have an end result,
Right,
I've got problems here.
here,
Because we've been doing this for how long?
Yeah.
2 years.
No, we've been doing this for a lot longer than that.
Oh,
Well, since I've been here.
Okay, way before you too.
yeah.
He
Well,
wrote it.
and I'll give you.
He wrote it in 2012.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking 10 years ago, and we've sat around, boards have sat around, we've all chit-chatted
Yeah,
about this,
right.
but
So.
the $100,000 is fine, but we gotta get to the end result.
Right, I agree.
I do have a meeting set up with Tara on the 18th of March, which is your DOLA representative for this area. I've been trying to tie her down to get an administrative grant, which would be $20,000 to $25,000, which that would cut our cost to $25,000 instead of being the $50,000. So it's in that process of trying to get these things in place.
Yeah, it's a somewhat lengthy process. In Walsenburg, it took us a little over a year, starting with this process, to get an $800,000 grant and a low interest loan. So it doesn't happen overnight, but that was a joint effort of myself, Jim and his staff, when he was mayor, and then the Orfano County Water Conservation District.
So what do you need to make this happen?
Well, to start with, just a signed proposal. I said it'll take us about 6 months to do this first $100,000 worth of work, and we would need a notice to proceed and signed agreement by April 1 to get started on it.
Thank you, I yield.
Just quickly to answer some of Mr. Collins, when myself and the chair went to Levita, we did acquire a name for a grant writer. I don't know if we still have that, but it's worth.
I think I'll have to research that, but I think we have a couple of them, I think. Like this, so right now we have to drop it a foot.
Right.
If we do this proposal and do this engineering, do we get that foot back?
No, no.
If we don't do the proposal and the engineering, then we don't have to drop it 3 more feet.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Well, no. Right now, you got a foot. If we get this first part of the study done, the state engineer has said, we'll discuss possibly delaying that additional 2.5 foot storage restriction.
How long would it take to get dirt moving if we come up with a grant and then do this proposal? How soon can we get that?
Well, this is the first step. This is just to get the concepts and approximate costs, so you can go after grants. Because the first thing people want to know, if you write a grant, what's this thing going to cost? Well, right now, I can't tell you. we need to do $100,000 worth of work, probably get a much better cost estimate to allow you to go get the grant.
And then it's gonna be a year or so after that before we see.
Absolutely, it would take us the better, probably about 8 or 9 months to actually design everything that needs to be designed to enlarge that dam and make it safe.
So we're talking about kind of an urgent issue here.
Right, I
We gotta
understand,
move on.
I understand, yep.
Is it
Yep.
more urgent than 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
a realistic goal
that's
would,
because we
Yeah.
put a lot.
right, a realistic goal would be to start construction in about 3 years, if we started now. That would be a rapid timeline, yep.
And you're recommending, sounds like you're recommending raising the dam by 10 feet. Isn't that going to have quite an effect on the infrastructure around the dam?
It will have some, absolutely, the trail will be inundated, it would have to be moved, the road realigned, it would have to be raised, some saddle dams would have to be built.
The Hickman ditch would have to be raised?
Not necessarily, we could put it in a conduit and come through a saddle dam.
We have a huge sewer line on the other side of that reservoir.
What's that?
We have a major sewer line on the other side of that reservoir.
That won't hurt. How far up in that Greenville area?
But you are
We're about
saying
8 feet high,
Huh?
8 feet of height roughly.
Oh, okay, I don't think that'll be an
it
issue.
can still be done.
Possibly might need to be relocated, we'd have to look at it.
Okay, go ahead, Harry.
Wouldn't it make more sense to take, we had that 55 acres on the other side, to dig that one out and put a, trap thing in there about 5 feet higher than the existing lake, and then just let centrifugal force feed from that lake into the other lake? And not, because we got a lot of fill to put around that lake if you raise it 10 feet. There's a lot of dirt that has to go in there.
There's some, I mean, you're not looking at much additional to fix the dam or raise it, really is. We're gonna have to put a big addition on the downstream side of that dam to fix it. So
Yeah, but I
raising
mean-
it 10 feet.
But when you look at the road and things,
Mhm.
we got 55 acres over there, and when I used to live in Florissant, we had 11 Mile, Spinney, and Antero. And when they had the real dry seasons, Antero Lake was completely drained, and everything went to Spinney and 11 Mile when they'd taken all that water. Well, if you had a lake over there, then you could put a trap in there and run the water into the other lake and keep it up without raising it
Well,
too much.
But you're talking about north of the lake, that's not a bowl, you'd have to build a dam there to do that.
Not a big dam.
It's still gonna be expense, I mean,
Yeah, I know that.
I got it.
So
Okay.
your
That-
proposal is to look at all of those.
Pardon me?
Your proposal would look at all of those engineering issues.
We would look at raising the embankment 10 feet or leaving it like it is. Or we could put an increment, I mean, if the board decided they wanted to only raise it 2 feet, 5 feet, whatever you guys decide, we would look at that. Because every incremental increase in height brings a whole new set of analyses and problems. So we'll only look at one, whatever the board decides to do, but really, we've looked at it, and 10 feet is possible. And that matches well with the number 2 reservoir, 20, 30 years down the road, and one large 300 reservoir, which the Metro Board needs to build at some point in the future to actually perfect the water rights, the storage rights. So that's where the 10 feet came from, and it's, yeah, there's some disruption to the existing infrastructure, certainly.
But it sounds to me pretty urgent.
Yeah.
More questions?
And we can look at, we'll look at just the opposite, option of looking at just fixing the dam and then versus raising it, whatever height the board decides. You know, we'll do that. We're not gonna look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet. If it brings as much work for 1 foot as it is for 10 foot.
So really, your proposal, it doesn't make sense for us to just look at improving the dam.
No. Yeah, I mean, we've looked at it, we do this all the time. And we did the same thing at Walsenburg. We could have put the dam back like it was, but for a small additional cost, we got significant additional storage there. It wasn't a lot of money. Most of the grant money basically paid for that.
It was almost $800,000 difference of raising it 11 feet,
Yep.
than just leaving it out loud, or what it was.
If I may. So, you've come to the conclusion 12 years ago, or 10 years ago, sorry, that 10 feet was the optimum,
No, this is a few years ago.
or a few years ago you
When
came?
when the Metro District had some litigation about, well, I think one of the upstream water users had sued the district saying you could never actually store that much water here. At that time, we did a study showing, yes, you could by raising Lake Backward Dam 10 feet, building Colorado City Dam, the reservoir number 2.
So-
You could get the 3,000.
What I'm getting at is 10 feet, the biggest bang for our buck? Do we raise it 15 feet? Do we raise it only 5 feet?
Yeah, 15 feet, yeah, you can't contain it really, yeah. 10 feet's about the maximum, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering,
that is
if
the
that
max.
was the max for the bang
That
for a
is.
buck.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that's it. We've done a lot of work on the dam over the last 10 years. I mean, we know a lot about it. I said, we know exactly how to fix it. It's just gonna take some money both to design those fixes and then actually build it.
Anything else?
No other questions?
I got a quick one. Is it 3.5 to 4 million to raise it or to raise it and repair it?
Raise it and repair.
Both,
Yes,
okay.
right, yeah.
Well, you did mention that to repair it, there's gonna be quite a dam, gonna have to widen the dam, basically.
Yes,
There's gonna be a
significant.
lot of fill below the dam.
Fill, drainage system, filter system, yeah, all kinds of things.
Is that gonna impact our plant?
Nope. It'll be just, we'll keep it short of the plant. Not by a whole lot, but a little bit.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, number 2, you have land sales, property offers, discussion on that. You have one offer for, let's see, be 7 properties. They're looking at 40,000. Unit 531. It is listed up here. It's off the cul-de-sac. If you go up Colorado, there's right in the corner of the cul-de-sac. The other 23, you have 381, 398, which are these bigger lots here. Then the 3 smaller lots in front of it would be 41, 401, 402, and 403. And then in 25, she was looking at 261 and 218, which you're off at Cali, which is 261, and the other one is 218, which is this one, and it's a corner of the cul-de-sacs. She's offering for the bigger acreage of the 1.29 acres, 7,000, and 1.75 acres, 7,000. The other ones that are range from 0.24 to 0.57 of an acre, she's offering 5,000. I take that back, 0.31, she's offering 6, and then 5 on the others.
And how many of those need a road?
All
All of them?
pretty much. So,
Even the one that's got water and sewer needs a road?
no, they just have water on it. There is no sewer. That's one of the reasons she's looking, I think, at the bigger lots.
So this top one that says water and sewer is incorrect?
No,
Uh,
that unit five, it has one.
That one does have water and sewer.
Okay, so we have one that has water and sewer.
And it's in a cul-de-sac. And I know they built across the street on there. And they did pay for expedited road and put it in.
But they didn't pay for this
Discussion?
expedited road.
No, they haven't paid for an expedited road yet.
Board have any comments?
I guess I got a question to the manager.
Sure.
What do you feel about this proposal?
It's on the fair side, maybe the larger lots you need to ask more for. As for the progress with the smaller lots down there, you know, that's part of it is, we need to put in the road. If we need to put in the road, if they put in the road, then it would be a fair offer.
That road will also require culvert.
Well, I'll speak my piece. You all know I've been trying to push these prices up. That water and sewer lot, on Unit 5 is, that's a $700 lot in any world. Those large acreage lots, they have water, they could have septic systems pretty easily. Those are current zone business. If they truly were to be business, they would be $30,000 lots minimum. I suggest even if they're going to be just residential, they're $15,000 lots. The 402, 403s, the small ones, again have water. You know, and to combine all those, you could pretty easily put a pretty good sized place out there. I don't know that those are out of line. Lot 25, or Unit 25, those two probably are reasonably priced. That's all I have. That's my input.
One of the things that in Unit 25, you're gonna have a new road there.
You're gonna have a new road on all of these.
And I know, no, on 25, when we put in the water line, not into the cul-de-sac.
I would suggest we would have that be a condition of sale. Simply as a lot price, I think those are probably reasonable. But the cost issue that you come up with, I
But
agree.
even Unit 5, you've gotta put a road down
So-
over.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
If I may.
Go ahead.
So you're telling me Unit 25, that those two lots are going to have water once we get putting that water line in? They don't have water right now, but they will have.
That's what we talked about. Right now, our map shows that there is. Which we
So
cannot
261 and 218.
We have lines going into those cul-de-sacs, but we have not, we don't know whether it is there or not. I've heard that there has been, or that there was, and then I heard that there, because we have that line shut off at Jody, at the top of Jody, all the way to Showalter. That's the one with multiple breaks in it. So it hasn't ran for years. And this is one of the projects that we
Yeah,
have.
one of the projects that we got from the county
That we're gonna do.
to replace that.
To replace it. And, we just met with Ken White today, Greg, Gary and myself, and that's what we discussed. If there is a line there, they can tie onto it to go in. Otherwise, we were just putting in one stick that they can tie on from there if they wanted to develop that area. But with that being said, those lots, you can't have a septic system. The septic line
Too small.
runs actually on the backside of Tally over here, where these lots are over here. And I don't know, to get to the sewer line down below, you have to cross the river, everything else.
Anything else? Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so I think we need, you know, based on our discussion last meeting, I think if we're concerned about people buying lots, coming to an agreement with them about putting a road in, and then they sell the lot, and we're stuck for the road, I think we need another column on all of this to make an informed decision, and that would be an approximate cost to us to put in a road. Because none of these numbers mean much if you have the chance of ending up with an expense, significant expense for putting in a road.
Good point. Anything else? Jim, can we do that on your, and will you give us this, could you give us?
Sure, yeah, and that's, I wrote it on my sheet, so that way I can add another column into it as to.
With an approximate cost of the
whatever it
road.
costs. Okay, and then the second offer is 25. It is same place off of Tally. We're looking at these two properties right here, 429 and 430. There's sewer behind it and water in the street. So there is water and sewer for those lots.
Where's the road aspect on those?
The road, like I said, that would be, probably put in with their water line, because they've gotta rebuild that road anyway, once they put in the water line.
Who's they?
Whoever gets the contract to put in the water line downtown.
That's part of the improvement that we're
That's
doing.
part of that improvement.
Part of the improvement.
The money from
Is doing the town from the grant.
What's your thoughts on those two lots?
I'm looking at it, should be about 6 on those. They're small lots, they're only 0.21, but they will have water and sewer to them.
And
And they'll vacate that line probably, so they can put a house in there.
Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable offer. If the road goes in with the water line, there's no cost to us, so that'd be a pretty good offer, I think. A fair offer.
Well,
And from my understanding, talking to the people, it's gonna be a year down the road
No, there is
before
no
they
cost to
can
us.
start building.
because the grant money's covered, everything's
but we
already.
could use that else, I mean, somehow, that money comes to us. Yeah,
Nothing's free.
Nothing's free, that's right, nothing's free.
Oh, no.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's it on there. Okay, CCAC review, you wanna take that, Neil?
Everybody has a letter, right?
Yeah, everybody has a letter.
We received a letter from, attorney of Mr. Kokias, requesting us to readdress the denial of a placement of a single-wide manufactured home in Unit 14. As it turns out, Unit 14 is, these properties are R4, and per Pueblo County Code, you can put a single family or multifamily, number of things, used by right, in that zoning, but you cannot put a mobile home. And a single family or a residence is defined as, is a minimum of 24 foot wide and 36 feet in length. His proposal was for a 15 foot wide, 15 and a half foot wide, single wide manufactured home. By definition, it is not a residence, it is a mobile home by definition. And this letter, I wrote up this letter to send back to him, and I just, I would like the board's approval for the architectural committee to send that letter. Go ahead.
Basically, we sat down and we wrote the definitions as stated in Title 17 and the zoning as stated in Title 17 into the letter.
Looks good.
So that will come up for action in the CCACs. It is specifically, we are addressing Pueblo County code issues more than we are government issues. So the question was brought up to me, why didn't we let Pueblo County do it? And we could, Pueblo County probably would, they probably wouldn't be able to get a permit. On the same token, if Pueblo County didn't notice that and offer them a permit, unless we address this, it would fly through us and we wouldn't have a second chance.
So
Go ahead.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the covenants, I believe, specifically disallow mobile homes, don't they?
No.
In that area?
No. Trailers.
It's worded a little differently. I claim it does, Bill claims it doesn't, so we're not going down that road, we're going down what,
I'm gonna have to read them again, but I
Pueblo
thought.
and Pueblo development, Pueblo planning and development has the definitions. We use the definition per law.
I don't disagree with this at all. I was just stating I thought our covenants did too, but.
So
we'll have to
that's,
reread those.
and we are still, we're working on the architectural committee issues. We don't have enough to,
We have a few setbacks.
we've got to say. We're working on it. That's all I have.
Well, you'll have on the agenda, right, is, you have a garage in your house
Right.
that the board will approve or make a decision
And
on.
the
And,
architectural committee suggests that we approve those.
And if I may, real quick,
Yes.
I just wanted to let everybody on the board know what I let these two gentlemen know earlier. I had two of my regular customers come in today and said that they appreciate the work that we've done. I mean, it's mostly these two here that's done it in Henry. But they have noticed a difference and an improvement in Applewood area, and they appreciate the work. And when I say that these two don't give compliments very often, is an understatement. So I think everybody here should take it as a good sign.
He's done a good job, Greg. I told him so.
And to bring that up,
Thank you.
we have had discussions with Mr. Graver, not just over his plot plan, but he's come in and voiced his ideas of how we could improve certain areas.
Yes. Appreciate it.
I yield.
Go ahead.
Well, then you have letters that, the board would like to, the committee would like to send out. There's 4 first letters, 4 second letters, and 1, third certified. That will be on the agenda for you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
this is the first third letter going out. However, we've almost got the spreadsheet to where it needs to be. There's still probably 20 hours left work there. But once we get it there, you're going to see a lot more third letters. And we're hoping this is going to be the key to making progress or closing it down. There's not really going to be much of a difference. There won't be any middle ground once these third letters go out.
That's all I have for the study session.
We will, we'll do action as far as approval on those. That's it. Okay, go ahead.
That was end of study.
Oh, you asked, you wait for me to close the study session. I close the study session, open the regular meeting of board of directors of Colorado City at 6:35.
Thanks, Mike.
You bet.
January, or March 8th, January 2022. To join in pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in a moment of silent reflection if you so choose. Thank you. Let the minutes show that we have a full quorum, all board members are present. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion at this time, we approve the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 22nd, the study session, the regular meeting of February 22nd, and the CCACC minutes of February 24th and March 3rd.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and seconded, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Bills payable, Jim?
In your blue section, number 5, you have bills payable.
I make a motion at this time that we approve the bills.
I second.
Move to second discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak.
Bob?
First off, I want an explanation. Why does the road department need a utility knife?
Can you answer that one then?
That shouldn't have gone in that department.
Why does the road department need a hammer?
That could have been potentially for working on some of our equipment, would be my best guess.
You know, when we buy stuff, we're back to not shopping again, but we have a fiduciary responsibility to properly account for everything. And just picking departments to put this stuff in isn't getting it. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Can I reply to that? I did send out a letter to all my directors this afternoon after reviewing a lot of this over the weekend, and it is stressed in there that we need to do more shopping. There was one thing that was brought really to my attention was the Ziploc bags. Actually, I was thinking of it as a box of them, but it isn't. It was actually 2 cases of them, of 6 boxes in a case or whatever. So that there was something, but it still told them they still need to shop around and get it. If they have something that they need, to have come in and talk to Bev or one of us and say, hey, can we get this through Staples, whatever, at a lower price, or through Amazon. So it has been brought to their attention, especially now that gas prices are at $4 a gallon, and it's going to be tight this year in our gas budgets. So it has been addressed, it has been put out there to all directors of every department. I will continue, Yvonne and I will continue to keep an eye on it as to where money is being spent.
So
I could understand if it's an emergency, situation where they need it now, but some of the stuff, it is an emergency.
Along Mr. Cook's line there, the second to last item here is a padlock for water treatment plant for $191. I suspect that the description is, could be better. I don't.
It's probably
I don't know
several,
why
I would
we-
hope that's several padlocks.
I don't know why we need a padlock for $191.
Or was that one of
That's
that door locks?
a case of padlocks. That's a full case, Neil. A full case of
That,
padlocks.
maybe that should be, somehow, some of these descriptions maybe should be improved, because when I see padlock for, I'll tell you what, I've got a bunch of padlocks. I'll give you a padlock,
No, I'll reiterate that to my guys.
but that's, yeah, well, that bothers me.
Yeah, one quick thing, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
You know, I don't know what's with Parks Department, why they have to have wrench after wrench after wrench, hammer after hammer, a spanner wrench. How many crescent wrenches can that place use? We've seen this time and again in here.
Point taken.
Are they eating them?
All right. Let's move on. Any more discussion? All right, let's vote. Let's pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes. We're gonna pay the bills. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, next you have the financial report for January. As I told you last month, we had a $60,000 error. We found it. It was a data entry instead of going in and coming out. Part of it is in your water and part is in your sewer. that's why they are upside down. Plus the sewer, we did that ACH, paying our crypto loan, which we pay at the beginning of the year, and we had the money banked already at the end of last year to pay it, but it still comes on this financial. And as the year goes by, we put that money aside to make the payment for next year. So when you look at it,
Not on the crypto loan, it's on the bond payment.
okay, I thought you said we had the crypto too.
No, just the bond.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my misunderstanding. I thought we did, but
But
as
the
we go
bond,
through.
the bond payment is the one that came out and made the numbers skewed.
Yeah, well,
Not yet, it'll be on, February's financials, the bond payment.
And it would be skewing that, but the $60,000, that was the misentry, is the one that
Right,
skewed
so,
last month, so
yeah, and looking at February's preliminary financials right now, it clears it out. So, the water fund will go up like an extra 60,000, so it'll be about 15,000 under in the red, and then, I forgot what the other amount was.
this sewer was,
The sewer was, $39,000, so almost 40,000 will come off of that. So it'll still be down about 100,000, but it will catch up in the next few months. Once we get the revenue from the sewer.
Discussion? Mr. Chairman, go ahead. I don't see it in front of me. I was reading this on my phone earlier. Lease at the golf course, what page is that on?
It's on page 23.
Okay. Shows you had a monthly actual of 1,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
What does the restaurant pay a month?
I believe in February they started paying $1,200.
Okay, what did they pay?
In February?
no, in the first year was 1,000.
Okay.
January they paid $1,000.
Okay. What does Pro Shop pay?
I think they just finished negotiating that in February. Or was it February or March?
It was at the end of February that we got.
So what was this one?
It won't
Did
be
he
on.
not
It won't
pay?
be on there because we didn't have a signed contract.
Did he not pay for the month he was there?
No, he's paid it. It's
Then
just
why
gonna
is it
show up.
on here?
Because we record revenue as it's received. So that revenue for January and February for the Pro Shop will show, I believe he paid it February 26th, 2 months.
So it'll show up triple in March.
Yeah,
Yes.
so 2 months in February and then another
But
in
we
March.
don't pay each month.
Yes, he will.
Mm-hmm.
It is in the
By the
contract.
10th, I think.
Yes.
We're paying bills every 2 weeks, and you're saying it doesn't show up?
The contract hadn't been finished yet.
I'm not talking about the new contract. I'm talking about the contract they were already under.
That contract was
Mm-hmm.
ended.
So did you, forgive the month they were there?
No,
So it
He
has to
will-
be long.
he
You would
will-
have still paid it.
he did pay it
Mm-hmm.
when the contract was signed for the year.
I'm not talking about the new contract. You already had a lease agreement. Each month you pay this much. $100, wasn't it?
And it-
Okay.
And it terminated.
So where's the
on December
$100 in the
31st.
books?
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. You either forgave it or they didn't pay it.
No, it will be in the next financials that it will be in there. It was not forgiven.
Did you forgive it or did you give them time to pay in a different month, because he pays once a month. He would have paid $100. It's not in here.
Point of order.
It,
I think it's already been addressed, it'll be in the next,
It is not addressed.
in the
It
next,
happened last month as well.
it'll be in the next budget, the next one we get, that's the end of February. So I think just,
It was not in there last.
point of
time.
order, let's move on. I'll look at the next one, I'll look for that and make sure it's there, and it will be there.
I think that, the issue here is that he did not pay for that month. He'll pay for 2 months at the end of the next month.
Cause you have a contract
he
for
paid-
this year.
So it'll catch up
Yeah,
the next month.
It's already caught up.
Yes,
It's already caught up, just isn't in the financials.
for January.
What else, Bob?
Did the board approve the delay?
The board asked Neil and I to negotiate.
Correct.
Which
I'm
we
not
did.
talking about the new contract, the delay in payment. He had no paperwork.
point of order again,
I
sir,
think that-
let's move on.
I'm trying to show a point here.
Well,
The point is, these books are not right.
I'm going to allow, but I'm going to allow Mr. Cook, but I also am going to request it, we get the point. And we get the point, but.
we got the point.
Let's move on. Okay, what else do you have? Do you have anything else?
I've got some, but I'm gonna hold it for old business.
Okay. Anybody else?
Do you want me to do yours if you want me
Jim, I have a,
Oh,
no, it's not yet. Okay, go ahead, I don't have anything else.
to? Okay, the next we have is operational report, finance department.
So, dated March 8th, we have Casella accounting software training still pending from the vendor. I took some time to locate and research the water billing issues, the underbilling issues, and so verified with both Neptune and Casella that there was a dial issue, and so I'm in the process of correcting the bills. Right now, we have approximately 18 accounts that are impacted. I don't have a dollar amount yet. We're still doing billing adjustments. We're still in our second year ongoing of training, which reduces insurance costs and increases employee education. We heard back on our cybersecurity audit now that it was presented to the board. So they have increased our liability from $200,000 to $1 million. And then just in order to maintain that increase, we'll need to submit meeting minutes where the board has discussed specific changes that they want us to follow through with. And that deadline is in September, so we have some time to run that by the board and get some feedback. As you see, I recommended that we do a second set of bills for the board to approve going forward, just to make sure that we're covering approvals, because our due dates change as our meeting dates change. So sometimes we don't have the bills for the first meeting, and so they fall into the second one. I was helping with payroll on March 2nd, completing that payroll. I also put in here, I've been training for a solid year. We trained 6 employees on the functions and processes and the software that we use in all of the areas, including accounts payable, payroll, accounts receivable, controls, AOS certified billing, AOS billing and subledger posting, bulk water billing, and billing adjustments. So it's taken a lot of my time, and I'm just trying to get caught up. It's what I'm going to focus on next on my own job. So that falls into the next bullet point, which says I need to focus on financials, analyze trends, cash flows, and any other duties that I am responsible for. One of the things that I think will help us in the office as well as out in the field is to implement online work orders. So right now everything is paper-based, and the guys have to come in and pick them up, bring them back. We have already purchased software that will let us use an online feature where we can just send them out, they can get it on their phones, they can respond on their phones, and then we'll have more controls by just pulling a report of what's completed and what's not completed. So anybody can pull that report and see where we are on those. Just in an effort to modernize our processes, streamline the process, and generate some controls around what we're doing. So right now, since the software is there, we don't have any expense. It's just a training meeting that we'll have to do and probably some testing. And I think that's about all I have.
One of the things that, let me look back at Ron's notes while I was here. One of the things too is even with the financials, she gets her bank to reconcile with the bank. She usually gets her bank notices, usually on the 5th.
I got them like last Wednesday.
Yeah,
and
so
you need the financials by Friday, and then we get one of the reports on Friday. So this month it didn't fall with enough time to get the financials out when I had to look at the water billing issues.
for February, so you'll have a next meeting on that, on your February ones. Okay, Holly Dot, course maintenance.
Jim, I have a question on the,
Sure.
on the financial end. We still don't have a report on water invoiced.
Oh, the rate summary?
No, how many gallons were built.
I've got that wrote down for old business.
We have it, I don't think it's in here though.
No,
Is it?
No, I can pull it.
Okay.
Cause we just had it today, we were looking at it.
Go ahead.
Okay, Holly Dot, course maintenance, greens and course, greens, clear of ice, snow, pre-water, no snow, mold visible on greens, greens, collars, tees cleared of winter debris and goose droppings, fairways being drugged and clear, goose droppings and debris. Shop work, preventative maintenance on course equipment, continuing reel, bent knives, cutting head maintenance, and sharpening almost completed. For the month of February for the Pro Shop, 2022, month of February membership was only $495. The total for the year was $14,755. In 21, it was $10,411. So we're ahead on that. All carts are completed. Weather slowed us down. We're ready for the spring. Last week, I know we were busy for 4 days. Phil?
4 days.
4 days. I know this month you received many more memberships that came in as people are playing, they're getting memberships, and our revenue has started for the 4 days we were open. Okay, Parks and Rec operational report. Campground revenue as of February 2022 was $6,756.34. Basketball season ended in February, and we had 93 participants. We were now preparing for baseball and softball season. Practice has started already. The Scrappy Ladies, they used the rec center, recovered 18 of the chairs at the rec center. I'd like to thank them for the donation of their time and materials to make the chairs look new. The ATV was already been valuable addition to the equipment. The lake path, track, campground, rec center, and park have been able to be plowed. We have already used it on baseball field as well in order to prepare for practice to begin. Aiden?
I was gonna let Gary start.
Oh, Gary?
Okay, we averaged 307,000 gallons a day at the wastewater plant for a total of 8.6 million gallons. The water leak was repaired, press was repaired as well. Propane company hasn't come out yet, so we're waiting on them. So we're using the small bottles of propane to keep it warm still. No work was performed on basin 2 and no jetting was done. Cold Springs, we're still waiting on the boosters to be installed. The pad was poured on tank 4 for the antenna box for the SCADA. Jim, Aiden, Greg, and Chris and I will meet with Engineering firm about the radium level and the dual well. The level is about 9 times the NCL. They have a filter system that could be used to oxidize and pull out the radium in the backwash will be sent down to the wastewater plants, adding to their volumes. Water plant produced 11.8 million gallons and discharged 2 million into the rec pond. BUP samples have been pulled and sent to the lab. Filters from the insurance settlement have arrived and are in storage in the basement of the office. We will start replacement with skid number 3 later this month. The weather has stopped the progress on the vault of water. Our averages, online volume, wastewater collections are close to the standard averages, 110 per person per day, 70% return on the collections. Administration is working on a head count to confirm our volumes. The DAP pricing sheet is in there with that to be looked at if we want to continue on that route. Also a reminder, I hope you guys all read this nutrient removal. It's going to come up quicker than we think, and I don't want anybody to be shocked. That's about it. Any questions?
I have a question here. What's the booster installation at the Cold Springs?
Cold Springs plant is ready to run, but we need a place to put the water. So the boosters are in the vault, or need to be put in the vault.
Those are the pumps that need to be repaired?
They were repaired and ready to be
We're
installed.
just waiting to get them in. We have Main Electric that's supposed to come in with a crane truck they came in and pulled them out for us. We need them to come back in so we can line them up and get them in.
Rewire it and get them back online.
We've got all the parts and everything in at this point now. Okay? To get it done. Dean?
Okay. A lot of what utilities had going on this month revolved around the weather. Took advantage of not having too many breaks, so we spent some time maintaining some of our equipment, a little bit preventative, but also fixed a few issues. Had to replace the pump on the potholer, as well as fix some electrical issues on our back truck. Turns out that mice like diesel trucks in the winter. Had to do a little bit of shop maintenance, install the water heater, a couple of things like that. As Gary said, we installed the concrete pad up at tank 4. That was not only for the transducer, but also hopefully to eventually mount a panel that will hold our antenna for the Neptune system for reading meters. We had plenty of snow to plow, red meters. A couple days that we could get outside, we did a little bit of I&I on the river crossings, and then helped coordinate with Matt and Joe to get the head gate cleaned out. Pretty much wraps up the month.
Questions? Process of meters? Meter process? Meter installation,
Installation, we've had a few, not too far on that. We don't like to get out in the cold and open those pits up when it's below 40 degrees. Has a tendency to freeze the meter pits if you have them open for too long. So pretty much stuck to some of the easy swaps that we could fit into our schedule.
Is that on your schedule now?
As far as replacing meters, yes. Yeah. Any chance we can get.
Well, what about the 70-degree day last week?
I could go back and look at my daily planner. I don't know exactly what we had going on that day, but couldn't get to them.
Alright. Anything else?
That's it.
Alright, we'll read the good statement. Statement of conduct and demeanor. In order for the business of the board to be conducted in the most effective and expeditious manner, it is necessary that all persons present maintain a demeanor of civility toward the board, staff, and each other. Conduct that appears threatening or aggressive will not be tolerated. Shouting, speaking out of order, or the use of offensive gestures similarly are not acceptable. Such behavior shall constitute the forfeiture of your right to remain in attendance and may, as a point of order brought to the board's attention by council or any board member, including the chairperson, result in your being asked to leave the meeting by the chairperson, or, upon your refusal, being escorted out of the meeting by the proper authority. Do we have citizens input?
Yeah.
Yes, Travis.
Once again, nice to see you guys. Been working through everything with this water work session. I was on the county commissioners for about 6 weeks down in Werfno. Finally got it locked down for Thursday, May 12th, 2 to 4 p.m. at the Werfno County Community Center by the ballpark there. I'd really like as many of you to attend if you can get it in your schedule. I think there will be significant stakeholders present that have potential impact on Colorado City. I picked up an office down there in Walsenburg that we've opened up for CL&L, kind of doing an informational campaign. You guys can have these, I guess probably not for the board. Real simple, this is kind of what we support. Cacharis Reservoir number 5 rebuild, Family Ranch Holdings, FRH second service agreement going into play. What I believe that does is take about 38% of the water of the rebuilt Cacharis back in. Part of that comes to Colorado City, potentially. I think you could support a lot. I sent Jim a scenario. I meant to bring it, I left it at the office, but I sent it to him electronically of like a water quality supply plan. Something to look at. I think it's a baby step to bring water into Colorado City. Ranchers having full ponds. Back over the last 10 years, the DNR attacked about 99% of the ponds in Werfno County. Economic growth, jobs through optimization, accountability of the DNR's action, transparency. We do everything in public, not hide behind closed doors. We support Gardner, Levita, Walsenburg, Cuchara in the Colorado City Metro District. Affordable augmentation, doubling the water resources for Werfno County, communication and the people's participation. And I'd really like to see you guys there if you can make it. I think it's a significant opportunity to not just better Colorado City, but to better here to Walsenburg. That's all I got, guys.
Would you send us or remind us?
Yeah, I will send you, I'll send a formal invitation.
Yeah.
It's funny, they really put me in charge of all of it, so I will send you guys a formal invite of stakeholders.
It's a Thursday. Thank you, Travis.
What day was that?
Thursday, May 12th, 2 to 4 at the Community Center Gym in Walsenburg. You guys got t-shirts if you want.
Oh, thanks.
As long as you don't mind us getting them dirty.
No, that's what they're for. Wear them in bed with you, don't
Advertising,
matter.
right?
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, next on the agenda, attorney's report. I do not have one at this time. Agenda items, property proposals. Like I said, the first proposal that you have in front of you is for 7 lots, they're offering $40,000.
Any action from the board? A question.
Yes.
Does she definitely want to buy these as a,
To build homes?
no, as a package?
I think if you wanted to go individually on each one as to what you want for price as a counter,
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we counter, her offer of 40,000 with a offer of 70,000. And I broke it down as such, please check my math. Unit 5, lot 531 at $9,000, that has water and sewer, and is 1/3 of an acre. Unit 23, lot 381, $20,000. Unit 23, lot 398, $12,000. Unit 23, 402, $7,000. 403, $7,000. And then the 261 and 218, I left at $5,000. And if my math was, I'm sorry, if my math was correct, that came out to 65. I was at, never mind.
6.5?
Yeah, 65,000.
let me see if I got this right. 9,000 for the first one, unit 5, 20
Yep.
for the second one, 12 for the third one.
Yep.
7 for
The next two,
402 and 403,
and 261 and 218 as is.
and 5,000 on the last two. Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Move to second, discussion.
And that would take care of the increase for putting roads in then.
It should. If I calculated that correctly, it should.
That sounded like you, Mr.
More discussion. Anybody else?
Why is the first B 120 and the second B 1 is 12?
Because you got water.
Locations?
You got water.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
You got water on the first one, you don't have anything on the second one.
No, actually, you got it backwards. 98 would have the water, so we'll put those in.
Oh, well, on our paper here,
Yeah.
Oh,
On our
okay, I
paper
got
here.
it wrong. I got it wrong.
So
Okay,
98
so-
has water?
98 has water lying to it in the road
so
where.
flip those prices.
Okay.
Do we have a motion hanging without a second?
No, it's a second.
We're in discussion, yes. Any more discussion?
I guess call the question.
Harry, the call to question has to be second and voted on.
Just a second.
Just
I know,
second.
but, just.
Well, but the thing is, I mean,
I
the
don't-
silence, I want the thing moving along because nobody's saying anything.
I don't think I've been doing that correctly. So-
Okay, but he said it
So,
already.
and we need to vote on the call to question. It has to be a 2/3 vote. Call to question, vote.
Yes.
Mr. Yes.
Yes.
Well, if I vote yes, it call the question, so let's vote. All right, let's vote on the motion to accept, or to counter with the 65,000 total offer for the, this package of properties. Mr. Cook, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Kraus? Yes. Mr. Hostetler?
Yes.
Chair votes no. Okay, motion passes. that. Next one, Jim?
Okay, the next one, you have unit 25, lot 429 and 430. It does have water and sewer. It is R1 properties. They are offering 10,000 for both.
Yeah, the road will be put in there, that's where the water goes, supply goes through there, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be a road there.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we counter these two with a $7,000 apiece.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
What's your rationale, Greg, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, most of the lots right now, and I've been looking because I've been investing in property that got water and sewer, are bringing 8 to 10 grand. These are small lots. That's the only reason why I'm countering at 7, is because they're extremely small. But they got water and sewer, and they're gonna have a road. I think they're worth $7,000.
Any more discussion? Let's vote. Mr. Cook?
No.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes.
Mr. Oxell?
No.
Oh.
I vote yes. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. That's all I have for agenda items. Old business, covenants lawyer, I'm still discussing with Harley, Pueblo West. He's getting the information on lawyers he would recommend there. Dump truck, Natasha, I've tried to get a hold of her. I know Aiden's tried to get a hold of her. We're on a holding pattern. We're gonna get it, but I need to get the keys from her so we can check it out. So we're waiting on that. Applewood Park, with the weather, it has been unable to get into. It's still muddier than muddy. When we did have the 70-degree days, it just was a mud fest up there. Cabinets for the plants, I haven't heard back from Jensen as to whether he was going to do it or not, or whether we're just going to buy our own and put them in. Auditors, Yvonne and I talked with this. I know you guys were saying we need to look for a different auditor. I think we're in too far of the year. We're best off looking for one in September. That way we start out the new year with a new auditor and get pricing and stuff at that time for September. Get a contract set up before just changing in the middle of the street. Especially with changing over the golf course and all of that, making sure that we've got everything in place. I know Yvonne has run into some problems with some of the stuff that they converted over, and we have depreciation issues and stuff that need to be straightened out on the new equipment that we bought over the last 2 years, that they haven't even addressed yet in the audits of even last year. So we changed it. Pardon?
If they can't address it, you need a new auditor.
Well, and where
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
that's,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
So, what type of, I'm assuming, and I shouldn't assume, I'd like to hear straight from both of you. First of all, we're just starting this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if the auditor's not doing what we need the auditor to do in a timely manner, why are we delaying this again?
Which
Is it gonna cause you guys more work?
Well,
What's,
normally, I mean, we get a letter from them in December. Whoever we have an agreement with to do our audit, we get a letter from them in December of what they need for the audit. So they're already requesting things in December. So now it's already March. So we're pretty far ahead already, but they know our business. They've done it for the last, I think, 5 years. And then with the conversion from the government fund to the enterprise fund for golf for the last 2 years, they did combine some of those entries. And if we get a new auditor, which I think we're too far into the season because we should have probably done an RFP last year sometime. When you start with a new auditor, it's going to take longer. It's going to cost us more. And so for this year, we stay with the same auditors. Our costs should not go up. But yeah, we should change auditors every 5 years, but really we should have had like an RFP out last year to get new auditors for December.
okay, so rather than waiting till, when were you saying waiting till?
Well, we can start looking.
Why don't we start looking like right now?
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Maybe we delay it a year, I mean, the board has to decide on that, but
Yeah.
maybe we delay it a year, but let's not wait till
No.
the end of the year, let's get somebody lined up.
Yeah, we'll get an RFP written up as to what we expect as an auditor to audit our books with, and then we'll call around and find corporations that do government audits and get quotes from them.
Mr. Chairman, we talked about this during the presentation of the audit last year. You know, if they're just gonna sit on their ass and not get it done, it's not gonna get done next year either. It was instructed, find an auditor. It's not done. I yield.
I have a question, I guess, as far as, Vaughn, you mentioned they know our business or they know us. As an auditor should come in completely objective and with the presumption that they don't know our business and simply go to an audit and check our books. And maybe it would be better if they didn't know our books.
Well, when I say that, I mean like they are familiar with our property tax receivables, deferrals, schedule. They use our schedules. So we would go through the same steps with another auditor. It would just take longer. It's the same concept, the same things they look at. I used to be an auditor for General Motors. We look at the same thing no matter where we go and incorporate any new laws or any new requirements, but they're all going to look at the same thing. So I've worked with 2 sets of auditors, one for Rye Fire and one for CCMD, and they're all doing the same thing. They just do it different ways or different schedules, but they all look at the same thing.
So we just put it on the agenda to have one for this next year? Doesn't have to do this year, doesn't have to happen right now. But I think like Greg said, we can do one down the road.
I'm torn as to whether you should put it off or not, but
Just to clarify, I'm not exactly endorsing putting it off, I'm just saying that if we do put it off, we shouldn't be waiting until the end of the year.
No, I
Okay,
agree
we
with
should
you.
be getting it done.
Yeah.
Next couple months.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm not necessarily endorsing putting it off.
we were told that the auditor was what created some of the problems in our books last year. And if that's the case, I'm concerned about that going forward. And I don't know as far as cost difference, you say it would take longer for a new auditor and then cost more, how much more? I mean, if it would cost us $1,000 more because it took longer, then I'd say do it now. If it costs us $15,000 more, then that's a consideration. But I'm not so sure that I quite understand why a new auditor would cost that much more.
Just the number of hours that they are committing.
How many hours?
That's up to them. We'd have to get that from them. But it's, I mean, in their defense for a little bit on the golf course changeover to an enterprise, they did not have very much time to do that because we were so close to the deadline. They were really under the gun, and he pretty much put everything in one fund when we had it in the pro shop and in maintenance, and I asked him about that. And I think part of it was just time. They didn't have enough time because we were facing the Tabor deadline.
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead. You know, Mr. Kraus caught the mess up, and it wasn't golf.
Okay, this isn't an action item anyway, it's old business.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, Mr. Kraus and I, we need to get together on setting up a time to meet. I ran into some problems with the water lease in that one of the guys has changed owners in the property. I've been unable to get a hold of him, which I'm gonna have to probably just go up and put a note on the door, tape it on the door and say, call me at, I don't know when he gets home, when he's around. I've been up there a couple of times and haven't been able to reach him. So we need to talk to all three of them and get them in so that we all five can get together and discuss the water lease. Water loss update, like said, we've found some of our loss of water. Part of it is, like Yvonne said, was due to dials that read the meter. When it composes from Neptune to Casal, instead of reading it by gallons, it's reading it by a tenth of a gallon. So we're going through, and Yvonne and Christy and Ashley, they've went through basically almost every account, checking the dials on every account as to a 3/4 meter has should be an 8 where it was a 7, so it was showing less there. We also ran into where our 4-inch meters, our bigger meters, they should be reading a 9. They were set at an 8, which instead of reading 100,000 gallons, they were 10,000 gallons. So we're looking into all of that. That's why since we've got the reports now from Neptune, and we use our screens to be able to pull up exactly what this account is using and what exactly went through that meter. So it isn't something that is real easy to put on a thumb drive and give to somebody to look at. And one of the other aspects is Joey is going to get back with us. I know Aiden's called him and talked to him 2 or 3 times. We're still trying to set up a meeting again to figure this 4-inch meter, the bigger meters out with Casal, Neptune, us all getting back together on this issue to figure out what we need to do. What we have done is done an override on it though, where we are sending guys out and they hand read the larger meters, which we only have, what, 4 in service? No, the bigger meters. We only have 4 of them, which I believe 2 of them are on our raw water side. The other, actually 5, because then we have one at the rest area, one at the hotel, one at Raindrop,
And one in Craig.
and one at Craver. Our big over 2-inch meters. So we're putting them in manually so that we get the correct reading on it until we can get them down to straighten it out where it will automatically read again.
Question. What kind of report do you get from Neptune?
It will give us reading per meter. It don't give us a total.
Is it a printed, is it a complete report? Do you get a report, a listing?
Yeah, it's a chart, it's a bar chart, and it will show each month how much water ran through that meter for this account.
Can that report be printed out?
That's what we're doing, yeah.
That not be the report that I've been asking for? There would be how much water we are metered?
It's per meter though.
So,
It's by meter, so you're looking at 825 sheets of paper.
I just was shown that report when I had a meeting with Neptune and Casell, because I was not aware of that report prior to that meeting, and getting them both together, because they're both saying opposite things, so we get them together, and we made a lot of headway by walking through that process with both companies.
So I don't understand why, or how Neptune can give you a
Individual
individual
report.
meter report that you have to import to Casell. What you import to Casell, is it not a composite of all of them?
Yes, we can get a total number for
The month.
for the month through Casell. The part that we can't get yet is the total amount of water used through Neptune. So that's the next.
So there's two
that's
houses
the
side by
next-
side.
Yeah,
Are
that's,
those two houses side by side on one sheet of paper? Do you get one report of 10 houses side by side, or do you have to import each one of them individually to Casell?
individual, each one into Neptune to get that report.
How do you do that? You do that manually?
Yes,
We're just doing an upload from Neptune readings into Casell, into the, over 1,000 accounts, so 1,000 different readings.
You have to manually enter 1,000 different?
No, it's automatic.
it downloads it. Neptune has these 1,000 counts here. And we download it into Casell, and Casell breaks it out individually on each meter like it is over here.
I still don't understand this. What you download into Casell must be a composite report.
Yes,
If that's a composite report, can you not print that composite
It's a
report out?
text file.
A text file?
Mhm.
That, which is a word processing file.
Mr. Chairman.
If it's a word processing file, it can still be printed
It's,
out.
well, no, it's a text file. So it's basically just all numbers and letters and then addresses.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak on that topic?
Yes.
That's a bunch of crap. There's
Easy,
4,000 lines. I took the file and I opened it. There's 4,000 lines in it. It does show reading before, reading after. It even showed that we put a water meter on a drinking fountain at the golf course. That's how I find some of this stuff. What I haven't been able to get, and I'll get into that in a minute, is have it delivered to me in a .csv file.
Is there a reason we can't do that?
Yeah, I mean, that was a request by Director Cook prior to this meeting, and I checked with, Casell, and, I'm sorry, with Neptune, and he said they could not produce that. And this is, I don't know if you can see this, but that is the text file, that's kind of what it looks like, that we get to import into our system. But I requested that CSV report format from Neptune, and they said they were not able to provide that.
They aren't capable
In a
of providing?
CSV file.
I think the issue is, Mr. Elliott, is all these meters that are wrong, and they're checking each one of them, because I stuff envelopes. So I see all these meters, and I get my own at the house, I can tell monthly what my water meter says, every month. And I think what they're doing is, these big water lines aren't given the accurate measurements in them. When you look at that bar graph that's on your water bill, and if you look at it, you can see if you're not getting billed right. And I think that's what they're doing, they're double checking each one of those to make sure, like the 2-inch line should have a lot of water coming through it. And I think when they're not right, then I think that's when we check them. But, I think that's where you get the numbers from Gary, from what's water's running through the water plant, it's water that's billed to us. I think that's where it is.
Go ahead, John.
one of the things Mr. Cook, Director Cook had said is that there was a water meter on a drinking fountain on the old golf course. I verified this, I sent Mr. Bailey out there to make sure that that wasn't the case, that we put a new meter out there. No, it wasn't. It was, when Donnie was downloading into Neptune, it was put in there as a meter, that there is a meter there, but it is not a new meter in. Because they kept the old meter in. There is no water going through that.
So these reports, again, I've asked for these 4 different reports of how much water comes out of the plant, how much water we produce, how much water we meter, how much water we bill, and how much water we send to the sewer plant. Those are all direct gallons that should come off of meters. And we should be able to get that. I'm concerned, we do get the ones from, except for Neptune. And that Neptune one is one that really bothers me. Did Neptune sell us a bill of goods? They can't give us a report, a spreadsheet of meters? That boggles me.
And that's, yeah, and that, it bothers me because if you're getting a report for every individual meter, I don't understand why you don't have a total of everything that ran through all your meters.
Right, so to me, that's just not acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm still.
And when Joey gets down, that's one of the things I'm gonna say is, where is this? Because, like I said, every time he comes, we learn something new on this program. There was no training to any of us on it, where there was training, but it was not brought out.
I'm in a position of calling Neptune every day until we get that.
And
Well, all of that data is in the text file. It's just
being able to pull it.
reformatting however he wants, if he wants CSV, I don't know.
In today's world
But they
of
do
technology and the computer, I just will not accept that can't be changed into a spreadsheet.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
there's 2 standards in the computer files, PDF and CSV. So if you can't produce either one of those, you've locked in a proprietary system that doesn't want you to know what it's doing. We can't operate without those 2 types of documents.
So I've done some testing now that I am able to pull reports in Neptune, to take those reports and look at individual accounts to make sure, based on meter size, that what's coming in the file is coming into Neptune, into Cassell, to make sure they match. Those dial accounts, they don't match. So I've done testing based on their data, that's what's coming in, except for these 18 accounts.
So, if I may.
Go ahead.
So, we've been under the suspicion and assumption that some of our water issues are through the billing department. But you're telling me so far you've only found 18 issues. Well, I have a hard time feeling that 18 issues is causing our problem here. Now, we need to fix those 18 issues.
Yeah.
Part of those are those 4-inch meters, and I thought there were like 13 of those
No,
that they had to read this.
4-inch, the 4-inch are 5 or 6, but there is 18 that were 3/4 1-inch meters that were reading wrong. So there's actually like 25 of them.
So
That are
some
reading wrong.
are bigger.
So the big ones, I mean, are we talking huge amounts of water loss? Because we're talking huge amount of differences here on the amount of water that we produce and the amount of water
Yes.
we bill.
I'd say probably 1 million a month, maybe up to 1 million.
So it's a significant amount.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not the big $5 million, but
And-
it's at least a piece of it.
And just before I yield the floor, just to reiterate, I love the way these companies ask for all this money up front.
Mhm.
Give us this bill of goods and then tell us after, oh, well, we can't do this. That's nonsense.
Mhm.
Complete and total nonsense. And you need to really, somebody needs to be a squeaky wheel. I agree with Director Elliott here, that we blow up their phone.
We have,
I mean, blow it up.
that's how we got the first meeting, right?
I mean, get it to the point where they're so sick of hearing of you, they send everybody they can down here to fix this problem.
And a lot of this should have been done up front when we first implemented this. It should have, all of this should have been
Yeah.
on a checklist and checked off.
So, these reports that I've requested, I think I think that they're critical. Now, one thing I think is critical is we need to know how much water costs.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see would be cost of service. How much does it actually cost us to produce 1,000 gallons of water? Not just how much we bill or how much our water rate is, but that includes employees, wages, infrastructure, depreciation, everything. How much does it cost us to actually put 1,000 gallons of water into a home? We don't know that. It's quite likely that it costs us more to put 1,000 gallons of water into a home than what we're charging for. If that's the case, we're gonna go broke. We've got to know that. We need to know what does it cost us, total cost, to produce 1,000 gallons of water. And we can't do that if we don't have good numbers.
And chemicals and everything else.
Frustration showing here.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on this? So maybe, I guess as far as you let it hang, what can we have for a plan to know what cost of water is?
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Go ahead.
I have asked for cost of services for 4 years, and we've gotten nothing. You need to specify exactly what you want, because it's not happening.
Mr. Chairman.
Yield?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So, asking and doing are two different things. Mr. Cook's correct that we've asked, but at the same time, though, these guys aren't exactly sitting on their butts, doing nothing. So possibly, I don't know, possibly we should come up with a workshop to come up with those numbers. I freaking even, it makes me cringe thinking about it as busy as I am. But that's probably something that rather than, and I'm not letting them off the hook at all, but they are pretty busy. And I think that we need to maybe shove this along a little bit more by us getting personally involved in it.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting a possible workshop to come up with these numbers.
Maybe in the Bahamas.
That would be all right.
Mr. Chairman, I respond to Director Collins.
Go ahead.
Greg, you know, what we just talked about with the .csv file, the numbers are in the data that they've shown. But there's no way to run a spreadsheet because it's not a CSV. You can't even look at it unless you want to sit there and go through 983, this number and this number, so double that, 1,800 numbers, manually plug them into a spreadsheet. You're not going to know what the billing department is receiving.
So the very first thing we need then, if I'm hearing you correctly, is is it Cassell or is it?
Neptune.
So we need Neptune.
You get it from both of them.
Well, Cassell can already do it, correct?
Yeah, we can pull something out of this out.
We just can't do it with Neptune.
They're saying they can't.
Okay, so the first thing we need to do, possibly as a board, is let Neptune understand that we're serious about this, we require this in order for us to conduct our business properly. And we need to get a little pushy.
So, this dial thing, I was working on the weekends, cause I know that there's a issue, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on where are the water losses. And I have worked on the weekends on this project. It really, like I said, should have been done up front when we implemented this program. We should have known everything about it, how it works, how that number gets translated from them to us. We didn't have that, so
Who's our rep with them too?
Is Joey Davidson.
Joey Davidson. So when do you get to talk to him?
I'll call him first thing again in the morning, and I'll tell him this is what the board is requesting. We need a total number of water per month through all of our Neptune meters, because that's basically what we're needing, is that total number, so we can get to that point of what it costs us per gallon to do it, which I know Josh Cook, he does this all the time. Once I get those numbers, he'd have us exactly down to what it costs us per gallon.
I mean, I would suggest to you that you emphasize to them that he's got a very upset board on his hands.
I will.
Okay, that wants some action and wants it done immediately. And if we need to put that into a resolution, I suggest we do so.
No, I'll make sure that it gets to him, and that I need his, if he can't do it, I need to talk to somebody else in his tech department that can do it.
Mr. Chairman, we do not need the total number. We need all of the numbers, where we can put it in a spreadsheet and look at them.
Total amount, yes, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
We can set Excel to give high and low figures. You could then see if there's discrepancies of similar things. To just give a total number, we get that,
Yeah,
but that doesn't do anything.
We need a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, next, compliance letter. We sent one out in your bill. The state, we were out of compliance in one quarter, which was when we had the water emergency, that our TTHMs and our HAAS 5s were at a high level. Well, what they do is they take it over a 4-quarter period. Well, our last 2 quarters have been way below the deal, but it's still not enough to get it down to their level at 0.08 and 0.09 for, or 6 for HAA.
Calicylic acid.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
And so this letter was sent out. We are within, after this last quarter, we were within 0.016 and 0.014, I believe.
Pretty close.
For both of them.
Like that, yeah.
So we are getting it down within the next quarter. It should drop off, and we will be back to where we don't have public notices going out again. But like I said, 90% of it was due to
One bad quarter.
one bad quarter and having water being transported in that uses a different treatment process than we use. And our water is safe. It has been safe. That's where we're at with it.
Oh, one thing, did I miss about Applewood Park?
Applewood Park, it was
Yeah.
muddy.
Yeah.
We haven't been into.
I forgot old business as well. That looks like it just skipped forward.
Okay, and then,
I
also
I would like to talk on this specific topic.
Applewood Park?
No, on water.
Oh, on the water.
Go ahead.
Okay, and one other thing, we're under old business still, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one other thing, real estate lawyer. Now,
Hold on.
yes,
Bob still wants to, he has a question about the water compliance issue.
okay, go ahead.
This water compliance issue you're talking about is an average over the quarter. Now, what we need to do there again is pull the CSV file from the SCADA and compare it against his paper logs. Because I think you're going to find that you're over many, many times throughout. You're just averaging to just barely over. So we're out of compliance much more than you think we are.
No, we're not. Absolutely not.
Well, then let's look at it by pulling that SCADA CSV file.
It's not in the SCADA, it's in the lab results.
I understand that, but the SCADA logs every one of your every one of your inputs 3 times a day or 4 times a day or whatever you do.
Has
That's
nothing
a
to
law.
do, has nothing to do with
It
the
does have
DTH.
enough to do with the TTH and the HAA 5s. It does.
It does not.
So, I'm going to be requesting that we pull the CSV file from SCADA, and I know they can do it because I looked it up online. We can actually do it ourselves, but you'd probably rather have the tech do it, and compare it to the logs, because I think you're going to find it way over, which is going
So
to
what
get
do
us
you
in
want
trouble
pulled, Bob?
in
What do you want
forward
pulled?
quarters.
What do you want pulled?
That's enough.
In point of order again, guys.
No,
Point
no.
of order.
Hang on.
He's just asking, what do you need pulled?
The CSV file from the history of the SCADA. The
For?
SCADA history that can be compared against his paper logs.
For what though?
The history. SCADA.
We have a lot of
I
data in there.
understand that.
What are you
SCADA
looking
will
for?
output to a CSV file. Everything will
What
be
part
on
of
the
SCAD is what they're asking, Bob?
The SCADA history file. The history file.
You've got everything from turbidity.
I understand that. It's all in the history.
So
You want everything.
all of
The
them?
history file.
You want all of it?
All of the history file.
Turbidity to.
The history file. I don't care what all's in it. The history file logs everything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
Okay, real estate lawyers. We have a real estate lawyer. The board hired the real estate lawyer. We approved using the real estate lawyer. Why did we not use the real estate lawyer for our contract?
I thought that we have a lawyer that writes and does it.
Okay. So, not quite sure how to address this. The board, as a board, voted and said that we were going to use a local lawyer. We named the lawyer for real estate contracts for all real estate matters. Voted on it and approved it. That is the lawyer that we need to be using for real estate. I hate the fact that we're sending tons of money up to Denver and not keeping it here locally when we have people here locally that can do the job. I yield.
Your response?
No.
Okay, continue.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
let's speak on that topic so that the other board members are aware of what happened. You worked and you got $150 lease. You spent over $1,500 to the point that you now get $24 a month on that $150 lease because of the legal fees that were incurred.
Point of order. If we let our city manager,
What's the rule?
What's the point of order?
well, he's out of line. We shouldn't have to go to our attorney because our city manager should be the one who sets the lease for all of our things that comes through the board for approval. We don't have to go to an attorney
Mr.
to
Chairman,
work a
point
lease.
of order, we passed it.
It's,
And I think the thing is, right now, I'm a little irritated. Mr. Cook has a month and a half to go. He can come out nice, or he can come be a bear.
Harry, I'm gonna quash that. Mr. Cook, are you done with that, we've got the point,
If you got the point, I'll yield.
okay.
We got the point.
Apparently not.
I think that, the point taken, Jim, is that on those issues, we need to address our lawyer.
Okay.
Okay, continue.
Mr. Chairman, on old business,
Okay, go ahead.
some of these were just covered, but, where's the contractor at on the, well repair?
He was supposed to be here within this last week. I know with the weather, he has not contacted me back yet. I will double check with him. He said that he would be here in the first or second week of March.
Okay, the last time I asked that question, you said that he would be here by the end of February.
And he pushed it out due to weather.
You got a letter back.
The playground's not finished. Why?
We haven't been able to haul gravel. Part of that dump truck.
So all you need is gravel at that.
To get the base and stuff, yes.
Okay.
And then put in the fence.
Have the playground lots been transferred to Greenbelt?
We're waiting to
Oh,
get.
wait. The maintenance lot that was, the board decided to transfer to Greenbelt, has that been done?
Maintenance lot.
Over by the maintenance building, the board agreed to move the lot into, Greenbelt because it was,
No, I haven't done that, no.
where are you at on blocking access to the playground and the section of Greenbelt being used by motor vehicles every day on, they can drive on, but we can't drive on? You just said we can't drive over there because it's too muddy, yet we've got cars coming and going through there daily because it's being used as a road. Have you come up with a way to block that yet?
No, I haven't.
Status on the campground host contract.
It's in place, or I got them both now and we're getting them to Josh.
I requested this CSV file 2 months ago. It is beyond ridiculous that a board member can't pull something. If you didn't have it or couldn't develop it, you wouldn't even contact me and say, we can't develop it. You need to be able to develop something or have a reasonable excuse in a timely manner for us to get that. I requested documents in different departments, some 2 months ago, some as little as a month ago. I requested SOP 2 years ago, and we still haven't got anything. Now I find out, after going through some of the other documents I did receive from the state, that the SOP for his department is required since 2012. Why?
And we're working on them.
Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Okay. Jim, are we actively working on SOPs?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Okay. All right, what else? Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to fire the manager.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion fails with no second. All right. Is that it for old business? Can we move to new business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. New business? Anybody? All right, we need to move on to architectural committee. So we have the new construction. What do we have, John?
Stuff.
Yeah,
This
new-
stuff, Mountain
no.
Home Properties.
No. You have, 4300 Mustang Way, it's a garage, and on 4951 Gilpin, it's a house.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to, accept the, request on Gilpin.
Motion on Gilpin, to accept the request, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moving second, do you want to divide the house? You care? All right, let's go, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes for 4951 Gilpin.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to, accept the request on, 4300 Mustang Way.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Chairman,
Moved and seconded, do I have any discussion?
I would like to, give an explanation on Mustang Way. This has come before the board before. It was, denied for lack of documentation. These people gone out of their way to document. There was a holdup, and normally I would not recommend this, but they got kind of caught in a bind, because what happened on this property is we approved a house. Then they decided they wanted the barn afterwards. And then there was lack of documentation. They corrected the documentation, and normally we don't approve a barn before the house. But because the house has not been built, but has been approved by the board, I make a recommendation that we go ahead and approve the barn as well, so that they can pour the foundation simultaneously.
All right. Any other discussion, questions? Let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 4300 Mustang Way passed. Move on to the actions, the letters and the, go ahead, Jim.
I have a working file here if you want to review letters, but there's 4 first letters, 4 second letters, and 1 third letter that the board needs to approve to have postage and sent out.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the sending of letters,
All letters.
the ones on the list.
Yes. Okay.
So do we have a breakdown here in the book?
No, we didn't.
No, I didn't.
Jim does have those.
They
We
have
can
here.
discuss it in discussion here in a moment.
I will second his motion,
Move and second,
and
discussion.
then I ask, please, have a floor for
Go
a
ahead.
second. Can you please read us, what the letters are going out for? I don't necessarily need addresses, but I would like to know what they're going out for, please.
Bills. First letters. First letter, need,
Mr. Chairman, may I speak just a moment while he's looking there?
Go ahead.
You're gonna find most of these, Greg, that we list the covenant, not exactly one complaint, because we look at it, sometimes the complaints cover 2 or 3 covenants. So we generally list them by covenant numbers.
The only reason why I'm asking for this is if I'm gonna vote on something,
Right.
I wanna know.
No,
what I'm
that's
voting
fine,
on.
I'm just giving you a slight explanation on him hunting.
Gotcha.
Okay, one was trash non-conforming structure in the house on property. Second letter, meeting requested written proof of building permit. First letter is on violation 3.9 in unit 20. Next one is farm animals in unit 25, I believe. They don't have it here. Is on that one. Second letter new owner. First letter reference number 6 and 9 in unit 20.
New owner means we've already sent a letter to a previous owner. They get the follow-up letter to the new owner.
Gotcha.
Number 3 in unit 2, offensive to neighborhood.
Offensive to neighborhood.
Right, weeds
covers your
and
trash.
stuff, trash and
Because
stuff.
trash. The next one is number 8, and I believe this would be in unit 1, trailer being stored on lot.
It's an empty lot.
Yeah.
Some are not empty lots.
Got camper being lived in, no mobile home, and that's on an empty lot.
That's the second letters.
Those are second letters.
And then we got one third letter.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to find which one it is.
Is that one you
You could probably fill us in on the third letter then. if you
Well,
wrote
we've
it.
got it in section.
Oh, is that the one we went over?
This is your.
We're good,
Yeah.
we're good. Thank you. Just as a suggestion, maybe, that we get
Copy of the letters.
just maybe a copy of the letters, or maybe just a simple breakdown of what each one, what the offense is of each property.
I actually, Jim asked me about that, and I
Okay.
probably did do that, but that's what we can.
Only reason why I say it is because, not that I don't trust you guys, I do trust you. I wanna know what I'm voting on. That's it.
Maybe in hindsight, maybe next time, when they see them there, at the thing sitting here, maybe just take a few minutes and look at them before the meeting. Or,
Yeah.
since I mean, I didn't.
Just
know
put
they're here.
copies, just put copies.
Or give me a list of, you know, of the letters and what the violations are, so that way I can,
Yeah, we can do that.
that would be the
Maybe
easiest.
just print of the spreadsheet as well.
Yeah,
Because
it would be in the spreadsheet.
Just something real quick and simple that I can look down, okay, I'm voting because this guy's got 5 goats.
it might
Okay,
be
I mean-
easier to give you the spreadsheet because it contains the information.
Okay. Shall we vote? Or any other questions? Let's vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
right before we vote, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
You know, we're putting massive hours in here, and even if you could just call in by telephone sometime, it could be a great help to the other board members.
Mr. Cook, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes.
Mr. Hofstadter?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Any correspondence, Jim?
No, I don't.
Well, Chairman, oh, go ahead.
Well, I did, but you also got it. Did you wanna review that, or?
Yeah, in fact, we probably ought, I don't know if we need to vote on this, but,
It's correspondence.
do what?
It was just correspondence.
Yeah. This is, you mean this one? The
From Denise?
Oh, I didn't get it. I got one person, she sent an email to me personally, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
And she sent one personally to me. What she was stating is that, we needed to start applying for grants and stuff, and I did. They had write back to her and explain that, yeah, we did end up getting $3.7 million from ARPA funds. We are looking at getting, grants from, Bureau of Land Management, USDA, all of them, that we are with this infrastructure bill that was passed at the beginning of the year. Like I said, there is a lot of these departments that have never given out grants or had this kind of money to do it, so they are behind the ball in trying to set up an application. But it was just that she had some concerns that nothing was being done, whereas we have got 2 miles of line going in and water tanks all being replaced by ARPA funds.
So, if I may on that. So one of our biggest problems, and I know I've talked about this before, is our communications with the community.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're coming to the meetings every other week, they're not getting most of this stuff. And so all the negative stuff that goes out on the internet, or all the negative stuff that gets spread around the community, generally isn't based in any sort of fact, or even knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's just rumor. And then it gets propagated, it gets told again, and by the time they're all done, you know, we don't have a water system that you can even take a shower out of without dying from the toxicity of the water.
Cancer.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you know, it gets spread out, the rumors get totally silly. So we really gotta come up with some type of a plan of getting this information out.
I know Neil and I have talked about it, of getting a newsletter, trying to get something set up in a newsletter, which we can send out with bills as to, the new thing right now is that CCMD is gonna put in the post office.
No goodness gracious.
No, we're gonna take over the post office. That's the new rule, which we can't do it anyway, being a governmental.
What was originally posted, I processed, and the board approved allowing the post office to use cluster boxes.
And then that turned into, we're gonna take over the post office.
Let's move on. So the point taken, go ahead, Greg.
All I was getting at is that we need to do a better job of disseminating information out there. Whether we're putting it on our website, whether,
This is, Jim, let's put that in study session next time.
Okay.
yeah, that would be a great thing to discuss. Putting it in the paper a little bit more often, I think we know somebody who could do that. You know, disseminating it on, as much as I hate using Facebook, disseminating it on Facebook a little bit more often.
I think that needs to be a study session. Okay. Any other let's see, before we get out of this, the CCAAC, does the board approve of this letter to Mr. Kokias?
I think you did that.
Yeah, we did
We
approve
talked
it.
about it, I don't think we made a motion to do it. I would make the motion that we send the letter.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, any other discussion? Okay, let's vote.
Yes,
Yes.
Everybody votes yes.
there you go.
That's passed. All right. Anything else?
This is just, really doesn't have anything to do with anything, but, this is International Women's Day, and it actually started in the early 1900s. And I just wanted to thank Harry for the work he did then and now. Motion made, right?
Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
You should have turned it before you let Terry talk.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Somebody please second
I
that.
second it.